What is output variable in regression?
One, the variables or the variable that is being predicted and the variables that we use to predict other variables. In regression analysis, that variable that is being predicted is what we call the dependent variable. What we call the dependent variable. Dependent variable. It can equally be called the outcome variable. Outcome variable. Outcome variable. It can as well be called the output variable. Output variable. And it can as well be called a response variable. Response variable. Depending on the field of what of a study. So in the context of the illustration I gave earlier, where we had interest in the growth of what of a crop, the growth of that crop there becomes what we call the response variable. And of course, that is what can be called dependent variable that depends on the effect of fertilizer, intensity of sunshine, and the volume of what of rainfall. It can as well be called the outcome variable. It can as well be called the output variable. It can equally be called the response variable, depending on the field of what of study. And then we talk about the other variable that we use to predict this outcome variable. Of course, we call such variables or those variables that we use to predict other variables in regression analysis as the independent variable. It can be called the independent variable. Independent variable. It can as well be called what? The controllable variable. Controllable variables. It can as well be called the predictor variables. Predictor. The predictor variables. It can equally be called the explanatory variables. Explanatory variables. Depending on the field of what of study. So in regression analysis, the variables involved are classified into two. One, the variable whose value is being predicted, called any of these names. And then the variables that we use to predict other variables now called any of these names. So in the context of the